Oklahoma gets ready to take on Texas Tech from Jones AT&T Stadium in Lubbock. Now we say welcome inside. Joe Davis with Brady Quinn. Bruce Feldman joins us in just a moment. You know, if offense is your thing, this is the spot. Both these teams averaging more than 40 points per game. Let's start off with Oklahoma, Brady. They've won 3 in a row now. And that winning streak corresponds with a ridiculous stretch from their quarterback, Baker Mayfield, hooking up with D.D. Westbrook.
Yeah, they've been looking for someone to step up on the outside all year long, and D.D. Westbrook has been that guy. And it's in part because Baker Mayfield has played better from the pocket. He's been more patient. He's given it time. He's worked through his progressions, and that's allowed D.D. Westbrook to get open downfield. And D.D. Westbrook finally healthy. He had a nagging hamstring injury. But look, it's not just about the passing game with Oklahoma, Joe. It's about the running game, too.
But the thing is, no Samaje Perine this week. He's out with an injury, and that means Joe Mixon is set to shoulder more of the load.
Yeah, the Oklahoma coaches have taken Mixon off of some special teams. He's going to have to carry more of the load. And look, he's one of the most versatile running backs in the country. He does such a good job running the football, but also catching it out of the backfield, even splitting out as a wide receiver and catching the football at times. And he had a career high in yards last year versus Texas Tech. So look, the Red Raiders know that they're in for a big challenge tonight.
How do they keep up? That's the question. They got a pretty good guy pulling the trigger, and their quarterback, Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, he's been a little bit banged up. That right shoulder, throwing shoulder, has been bothering him. He hasn't been practicing consistently. That led to a somewhat disappointing performance last week versus West Virginia, but don't be fooled. He feels healthier this week, and he is one of the most prolific passers in college football.
All right, time to get it down to the third member of our crew. We say hello to Bruce Feldman. And overall this season, after the 1-2 start, they've won 3 straight, trying to remain unbeaten at the top of the Big 12. Oklahoma won the toss, elected to receive. Michael Jones goes back with D.D. Westbrook. Off we go from Lubbock. And Westbrook to take a touchback. Oklahoma to begin at the 25-yard line. This run-heavy spread offense, top 20 in the country, scoring 40 points per game. Led by Baker Mayfield. They ran for 405 yards against Texas Tech last year. They had Perine and they had Mixon. I know Perine today. It'll just be Joe Mixon. He's out there to begin the game with Mayfield. And facing a Texas Tech defense allowing 40 points per game. That's 5th most in the country. Straight downhill they go with Mixon, who's hit in the backfield by Fehoko and driven down to the ground by Zach Barnes. It's a loss of a yard, 2nd down, 11.
And this is exactly what the Texas Tech defense needs from Fehoko, Pimpkins. They need help up front. Those guys are going to have to be the anchors of the defense and stop this Oklahoma running game.
Gave up 7 yards per carry in the loss against West Virginia last week. Mayfield's first throw goes outside to A.D. Miller. Brought down by Justice Nelson and a gain of 7. On Oklahoma's first drive, it's 3rd and 4.
The biggest question is whether or not Texas Tech's defense is going to pressure Baker Mayfield. They've struggled all year long getting off the field on 3rd down, but they've got to try something different. Defensive coordinator David Gibbs has to try to find a way of putting more pressure on Baker Mayfield and maybe forcing a turnover.
On 3rd and 4, they rush only 4. So Mayfield has time to go underneath, and it's D.D. Westbrook making a cut for a first down. Coming off the best 3-game streak for a receiver in Oklahoma history. More than 500 yards and 8 touchdowns as you give us what we're watching for.
Yeah, but it starts with the running game, and really Joe Mixon is going to be shouldering the load tonight. Samaje Perine out. Everything's built off the play-action pass, and that's what helps open up D.D. Westbrook downfield.
For his first catch of the day to convert a 3rd down. And from the 44, they fake to Mixon. Mayfield throws on the move, incomplete. Paul Banks Jr. with a coverage on A.D. Miller.
Baker Mayfield, we talked about his progression in the second year in Lincoln Riley's system. And so much more patient, staying in the pocket. They haven't taken as many negative plays. At this point last year, he had been sacked 20 times. This year, only 11. So he's improved, and that's helped not having as many negative plays and then moving the chains down the field.
Offense coming off a great game against Kansas State, put up 38 on a team that had been really good defensively. On 2nd and 10, Mayfield with a deep drop. Eyes downfield. There's Mixon. He will take it. Touchdown, Oklahoma from 56 yards.
Well, we talked about this in the open. This is what makes Joe Mixon so special, is his versatility, his ability to be able to get out of the backfield. And he's basically going to beat right here Jashawn Johnson in one-on-one coverage. Baker Mayfield, again, he's patient enough in the pocket to allow Mixon time to get open downfield.
That's all it takes in just a minute 37 to find the end zone. Seibert's extra point is no good. Joe Mixon on the long throw from Baker Mayfield, and the Sooners off to a great start. Texas Tech's offense takes it. When you come back.
Cool there in Dallas. They talked about his 4.4 speed and really looking for a spark in that backfield. They've had no running game, and it's not just on the running backs or the personnel. It's also on the offensive line. They've had a bunch of moving parts. Justin Murphy was ejected last week. He's going to be out for the first half of this week's game.
There's a targeting call last week in the second half of that game against West Virginia. Mahomes in the quick game underneath. There's Giles who coughs it up. And Oklahoma's got it. That's been one of the things that this team's been good at. Only the second fumble this year for Texas Tech. And Jordan Evans recovers for the Sooners.
Yeah, I think it was Emmanuel Beal who was able to knock this out. You can see he puts his helmet right on the forearm of the ball carrier. And I can tell you, as a former player, that hurts. Your immediate reaction is not to clinch onto the ball. It's actually to give it up. So a good play by Beal. That's exactly how they teach you to try to get the ball out when tackling. Again, this defense for Oklahoma, they haven't been as good as they were a year ago, but obviously a good start for the opportunistic team, because when they get turnovers, their offense takes care of the rest.
That is only the 6th takeaway this year for Oklahoma's defense. Came into the game in the bottom 10 nationally at generating them. But they get one in the first drive. Baker Mayfield comes back out. They just got that play off. Quickly in the hands of Mixon. A 56-yard touchdown on the first drive, and a first down on the first play of this one.
Yeah, you can see what the game plan is right now. Obviously, they're featuring Joe Mixon. The other two people we've talked about, Dede Westbrook, and then it's Mark Andrews. But that's in the red zone of third down. They're going to target number 81. He's about the size of a tight end, even though they list him as really a wide receiver.
Mixon again. This time he's hemmed in, gets 2, and it's 2nd and 8. Colin Hill there with Keyshawn Allen. The helmet came off Eric Wren, the center. And unless that was the product of a penalty, he should have to come out of the game. There he goes. So that's interesting to note for this play, a new center.
I'd imagine it'd be Alex Dalton. Number 63, no?
Jonathan Alvarez.
And he's got experience.
Yep. Perfect snap. Mayfield sets. Even one long. It's Westbrook again. Touchdown, Oklahoma. 49 yards. His 9th touchdown in the last 13 quarters.
And there's not a whole lot to this. This is just one-on-one, man-to-man coverage right here. This is the matchup. And Dede Westbrook just beats Polite Bray in a foot race. Baker Mayfield does a good job putting enough air on the football to allow Dede Westbrook to run to it. And that's about as easy as it gets.
Some kind of stretch for number 11. In the end zone again. This time Seibert nails it. First drive lasted less than 2 minutes. This drive lasts less than 1. A 49-yard touchdown to Dede Westbrook. Drive. DeLeon Ward straight ahead for a touchdown. It's the first of his career.
We talked about this offensive line for Texas Tech and the moving parts. Watch the right side. You've got Madison Okwuemanu as well as Baylon Brown. Both guys did a tremendous job of helping to open up that hole. I think the Oklahoma defense was caught off guard, probably thinking that maybe they're going to utilize one of their matchups on the outside and throw the football in the end zone.
How about Daleon Ward, though? Got his first career carries in mop-up duty last week. They liked how he ran. And so they started him tonight, but the plan was to redshirt this kid. They needed him on special teams, so they activated him a few weeks ago. Now he's the star running back. He's got a touchdown.
We've seen it earlier in this game. Number 9, Jonathan Giles. That's the guy to keep your eye on. Let's see if he's able to work the middle of the field and find a hole in that secondary for Oklahoma. I would imagine Mike Stoops is going to try to find some way of doubling him with one of these two defenders.
Oklahoma has 9 men standing. They only bring 4. Mahomes floating one, dangerously incomplete. Stephen Parker had it gift wrapped and couldn't hang on. 4th down.
Well, when Jonathan Giles is beating you this much, look at the double coverage here. That's what they call bracket coverage. They're both going to be responsible for Jonathan Giles. One's going to have the inside leverage, one's going to have outside leverage, or in this case, it was Stephen Parker playing underneath, which allowed him to undercut that route and almost get the interception.
You know, this Oklahoma defense had 20 interceptions last year. They only have 2 through half of the season this year. Westbrook waits back. Not a very good punt. And an even worse result with a bounce. Oklahoma will have it at the Texas Tech 40 after a 27-yard punt. Baker Mayfield comes back out. Baker Mayfield coming back, but this is where Lincoln Riley played 1 season as a walk-on and then spent the next 3 years as a student coach under Mike Leach before he took over as the receivers coach and then moved into the coordinator role last year at Oklahoma.
What a bright future he has in the coaching business. He's going to be a head coach very soon someday.
Drive begins at the 41 after a short punt. They start with play action. What a snag by D.D. Westbrook. Bouncing to the outside. Westbrook is inside the 5, and it's 1st down and goal for Oklahoma. But there is a flag down way back at the 38.
An ineligible player downfield, number 78 of the offense. It's a 5-yard penalty, and it's still 1st down.
And that's the big right tackle, Bobby Evans. I believe it was number 71 that was called. Let's show it. Here's the right tackle. And this is what happens. They have these things called run-pass options. And no, it was number 78. Big Orlando Brown. And what happens is they've got run blocking called up front. So the linemen don't know if the ball's released or not. They're working up to block their normal run blocking schemes. And that's what happens is they're not allowed to be more than 3 yards downfield. Officials did a good job of catching it.
The penalty cost them 43 yards from where they would have been. So 1st and 15 from the 46. Mixon into the short side with a seam, and Joe Mixon, a 1st down and more. Exploding, reaching, in for the Oklahoma touchdown. A 46-yarder, his 2nd of the day.
Joe Mixon had 156 yards a year ago versus Texas Tech. And look at this hole that's created by the Oklahoma offensive line. That's really been the key for this team. They've been winning on both sides of the ball up front, their D-line and their O-line. That's been the difference after the first 3 games where they started off 1-2. Once they've gotten to the Big 12, they've been winning the battle up front and creating big holes just like that for Perine and for Mixon.
He had a 56-yard touchdown catch to start the game. Now he's got a 46-yard touchdown run behind that offensive line. Lincoln Riley's got to love it. Texas Tech once again down 2 scores. 2nd and 7. Mahomes pulls, has a block from Reed, has a Texas Tech touchdown.
Well, this is what you're capable of doing in the running game when you've got a quarterback who's athletic like Patrick Mahomes. And watch Mason Reed as he comes across the formation. See number 29? He gets just enough of Ovo, then he climbs up on Jordan Thomas, and that's just enough to allow Patrick Mahomes a lane into the end zone.
Would have been nice to know about that.
Jordan Evans.
Pumped underneath, now floats one, end zone and picked off. Threw it late, and Stephen Parker came over for the pick.
Stephen Parker had his eyes on Patrick Mahomes that entire play. They tried to fake a little screen and then throw vertically to Reggie Davis. See Mahomes going there the whole time, just puts too much air in it. I mean, if you're Patrick Mahomes too, you want Reggie Davis to at least come back and make a play. I don't know that he ever saw Stephen Parker coming across the field.
Now, last season, Mahomes was intercepted 4 times by Oklahoma. A couple of them were off tip balls. One of them was right into the hands of a defensive lineman. It's going to be close. Fehoko gobbled him up. It will depend on the spot. A critical moment in the first half of this game.
This is exactly what Cliff Kingsbury was looking for out of Braden Fehoko when he went to Hawaii and recruited him. A big guy who could get penetration in the backfield and help get stops.
It is close, Brady. I'm looking at where they have it spotted. Just about even with those chains.
I mean, from that vantage point, it almost looks like they'll be a little bit short, but it literally might be by a link on that chain.
Crowd will tell you. 43 seconds left first half. Mahomes dropping, throwing towards the end zone. What a snag! Jonathan Giles, there's your signal. Touchdown, Texas Tech.
With his fingertips as Patrick Mahomes works up in the pocket. Doesn't necessarily get it that high, but literally by his fingertips, Jonathan Giles is able to corral this football in for the touchdown. Does he secure possession as he goes to the ground? Yes, he does.
And that took as long
So
to get
you
his...
do have plenty of time if you work efficiently once you get that first down and get up to the line of scrimmage and get set.
The 25-yard line. Fake to Mixon. Wants to go deep and has D.D. Westbrook inside the 25. How do you leave that man that open? 55 yards. But he's slow to get up.
And that's, again, this matchup they're working and utilizing. It's number 3, DJ Polite-Beret, one-on-one right here. And Baker Mayfield's going to roll away from this, and he's going to throw back across the field. Well, the ball's a little bit underthrown. It was a long heave.
Of a completed pass is
Answer
under
back, trailing for the first time today. Mayfield sets end zone. Basquin perfectly thrown. Oklahoma strikes back. A 23-yard score for Basquin.
Joe, that was the same exact play. It was just switched. Literally, they ran the same play 2 times in a row, just from different strengths of formation. One's from the right, one's from the left.
They went 75 yards in 20 seconds. Seibert missed his first one today. He's been good since. And Oklahoma, in the blink of an eye, goes back in front.
This is what helps draw it so open. Watch the play action fake. He rolls this way, and you see everyone flow, but there's no one in the back end. Everyone steps up on the run fake in support. Which, again, in this situation, I mean, they got a couple timeouts, but expecting a pass, and Basquin's just able to beat Keyshawn Allen across the field for the easy touchdown.
And Basquin from Norman, Oklahoma, went to North. Turned down some interest from Mountain West schools and WAC schools in order to walk on at Oklahoma and try to remain unbeaten in Big 12 play. Texas Tech behind Patrick Mahomes, 375 yards, trying to get its first win over a ranked opponent in 3 years.
407 total yards, though. I mean, that is ridiculous in one half. I mean, could you imagine him getting 800 total yards of offense tonight?
Let's go down to Bruce.
Bob, wild last 2 minutes of that first half. What did Baker's minute touchdown drive there do for you guys to get momentum going in?
It gives you a spark coming in, you know, at halftime for sure for the whole team. We just got to do a better job with third downs on defense. We've had our hands on him, can't finish the sack. He scrambles away, and he's picked up this third downs. We got to do a better job covering him.
What more can you do? 375 yards for him. It seems like you guys gotten a lot of pressure. Is it just simply tackling him?
Well, a few times it's tackling him. You know, you get your hands on him. He's a big guy, works away. And then other times we just got to do a better job on third downs with our coverage.
All right, thanks, Bob. Back to you guys.
Yeah, Bruce, that's a key right there. Texas Tech 9 of 12 on third down against Coach Stoops' team. Now we get you to Los Angeles for the State Farm halftime show. Pretty much what we expected in that first half. A lot of offense. Oklahoma with that quick scoring drive after 25. And you know, an empty set. They bring pressure. Mahomes throws low, incomplete. Wanted Giles, the Big 12's leading receiver, led the way in the first half with 5 catches for 77. Mahomes has now thrown it 47 times.
We mentioned that he's the leading rusher right now for Texas Tech. They just haven't been able to find anyone to replace DeAndre Washington. Moved on to the NFL. 2 years in a row, he was a 1,000-yard rusher the past 2 seasons.
QT coming in motion. He's got it. QT slipped onto the tackle and got 5 or 6. It's third down.
And that counts as a pass attempt. Yeah. not a rush, even though essentially is an extension of the run game. But it helps them get within third and manageable, something that they really struggled to be in the first half, even though they had a high conversion rate. The Texas Tech offense, now they're still rushing over 100 yards a game, but a dramatic difference from the years past when DeAndre Washington was in the backfield.
Daylon Ward started this play in the backfield. He motions out. And on third down and 4, it's incomplete, nearly intercepted. Stephen Parker already has 1 pick today. Got his hands on a ball intended for Batson. And a 3-and-out for Texas Tech to open half number 2.
Yeah, too high, too hot, just off target. I mean, he had Batson on the inside on a slant route. Unfortunately, just too much on it. You got to put it more on the body of the frame of Batson. And he's tiny. He's not an easy target to hit across the middle. He's only 5'9", 180 pounds. But had some space there.
Good sign there for Oklahoma fans. Westbrook limped off of the field late in the first half. He's back to return this punt. Michael Barton. Fair catch from Westbrook. And Oklahoma to begin at the 31-yard line. Sooners in that first half are averaging more than 11 yards per play. 448 yards total over the first 30.
And really the big key has been the trio of playmakers. It's been Mark Andrews, Joe Mixon, and Dede Westbrook. Look at that. Tonight, 85% of their offense as far as their production coming into this game, only 55%. Now, part of that was going to go up because Samaje Perine is out, but still, that's essentially what their offense is built around. That's where Baker Mayfield's trying to go with the football.
From the 32-yard line, that's where this drive begins. They've had great success on the first play of drive so far today. Not this one. It didn't look like. Mixon broke out of it. What a highlight show this guy puts on. 68 yards of utter brilliance for Mixon. But there's a flag down way back at the 47. They had him dead to rights, 2 yards in the backfield.
By number 11 of the offense. The 10-yard penalty and replay first down.
Oh, no, not D.D. Westbrook. And he usually does such a good job blocking downfield. In Oklahoma's win last week, you know, he had a good block to help set up a Samaje Perine touchdown reception. But look at this. I mean, Joe Mixon, how does he get it? It's almost magic. He's able to somehow get skinny, get through. And you can see right there at the end on the right hand of the screen, right side of the screen, D.D. Westbrook grabbing too much jersey. An uncharacteristic mistake for a guy. You can see right here at the end. He's grabbing Paul Banks, and it's hard to see from that vantage point, but as Banks started to go down, you started to see that jersey pull, and that's what the sideline judge is looking for on the outside.
And because it's a spot foul, they still do get 5 yards on that play. 1st and 5. Abdul Adams comes in to take the fake, and Mahomes with a timing route to the outside for Dahu Green. Only his 2nd catch of the season. And if you're used to watching Oklahoma and seeing him in 18, he's wearing 2 today because there were 2 number 18s on the same special teams unit. Curtis Bolton the other. So they switch him to 2 so they can both stay on that group.
And the reason why Green was so wide open, the running play. They just hit a big run. They got called back. They got to put extra guys down around the line of scrimmage.
Here's Adams. Good blocking in front. Flowers leading the way from his fullback spot. Malik Jenkins the tackle.
That's the hard part about going up against this Oklahoma offense is look at injured player down is true freshman Desmond Smith. Came up to try to make a play.
Only the 2nd catch of the year for Green. Averaging 38 yards a pop.
He is a big-bodied, tall-frame wide receiver. He's going to be special.
6'4", 200. Mixon back in there. He's got it. And in the open field, Justice Nelson pulls him down. Team captain, 3-year starter, makes it 3rd and 1.
It's one of those seniors that, you know, David Gibbs and Cliff Kingsbury said they really relied on this past week to get this team back and to get them to understand how they need to play the game of football. This is a young team, and they don't have many examples of upperclassmen who can really lead the way, but Justice Nelson is a guy they put a lot of faith and trust in. That's why he's at that nickelback position. At times, it's going to be a guy down around the line of scrimmage, put up against those slot wide receivers.
This will be a direct snap to Joe Mixon. And Mixon waits for his blocks to develop and surges for a 1st down.
We talked in the first half, the patience that Joe Mixon has. You hit it right on the head. I mean, he waited a half second, allowed everything to develop, and he knew he could turn on the speed to be able to accelerate through the hole and get the 1st down.
On the 23. On 1st down. They bring 5. It's picked up on the slant. It's Westbrook again for another Oklahoma touchdown. His 2nd of the day, his 10th over the last 4 games.
I mean, you just can't cover the guy one-on-one. I mean, look, he's working on Paul Banks. You see the cushion Banks is giving him, and he just beats him out of the break with speed, and he's strong enough to work through the tackle. I mean, that's just simple football. There's not really even much for Baker Mayfield to read.
From the front. So if you come from the side, ball's out of the box, it's a foul if you go low, period, unless you're right from the front.
But they drop it into Reggie Davis for a touchdown. On 2nd and 25, over the top for the score. And they're calling trainers over. We're going to see Davis to his feet.
Well, he didn't have a ton of room. Took him up the tunnel. One-on-one. Working on the true freshman, Jordan Parker. Reggie Davis, he's just got too much speed in a perfectly thrown ball by Patrick Mahomes. Enough trajectory on the football to drop it in with enough air to the outside so the defender couldn't make a play on the football. And we're going to be looking to see if Reggie Davis caught the football and got a foot in. He maintains control and possession as he goes up through the tunnel almost halfway to the locker room. But what a big play after coming off to defend these run-pass options. It's so hard. It's like trying to defend a fast break in basketball.
Yeah, they picked the wrong era to be defensive coordinators. Trying to stop a 3rd and 5. Mixon is left alone out of the backfield, and with a one-handed reception, Mixon. He stays on his feet and scores again. 43 yards. Magic Mixon.
And this, to me, is just a mental error. We've seen Oklahoma utilize Mixon out of the backfield, but Gary Moore was the guy who was responsible for him. But look at the one-handed catch. I mean,
like
what more can you say about him? Looks like it was up there on a platter, and he just brings it down. But why? How do you put a defensive end in one-on-one coverage on Mixon anyways?
All 3 of his touchdowns have gone for more than 40 yards. And Oklahoma back in front by 2 scores. So casual about it, too. I'll take that. I'll take 6 more.
Somewhere in the 80s, but I mean, we got plenty of time left to play.
3rd and long, just for Texas Tech is most comfortable today. Play clock down to 5. Mahomes back to throw. Has time. Now scrambling. Heaving one into the end zone. It is caught for a touchdown. Giles came back around 2 defenders for a score from 44.
I mean, I can only imagine the conversation Cliff Kingsbury is having with Patrick Mahomes. I mean, this is just street ball. You'll see Jonathan Giles right here. He's going to find his way to the other corner of the end zone. 2 guys on him, and he just goes and makes a play on the football better than anyone in the secondary of Oklahoma. I mean, if you're
Mixon. 2nd and 7. Spotted him well short of where he finished. 2nd down and more like 8 or 9.
What's gone unnoticed is how efficient Baker Mayfield's been. And it's in part because he's been just running the system, playing from the pocket, making throws. And it's not as flashy as what Patrick Mahomes has done, but he's had himself a heck of a night as well.
Fake to Mixon this time. Over the middle for a 1st down. That's the Penn State transfer, Geno Lewis, for a pickup of 17. From the 43, Mixon into the short side of the field. Colin Hill, a Notre Dame transfer. Transfers from big-time programs, putting their stamp on this stretch.
He's one of the guys they've kind of leaned on up front as far as one of those edge players. He's got to be stout in the run, but also still agile and quick enough on the edge to be able to affect passers. Only has 1 sack on the season, though.
Only 6'2", 250, undersized. I love how hard he plays, though. Mayfield rolls. Has Lewis open again. Back-to-back receptions for him. And an Oklahoma 1st down. Up to the 41. For a guy that had some really good numbers early on in his career at Penn State, and then kind of fell out of favor his last season there and transferred in to finish his career this year.
You know, we talked to Lincoln Riley. He said, you know, he's starting to feel more and more comfortable with their scheme and what they're doing. He's been a solid blocker all year long. And there's no doubt that he's one of the more physical wide receivers they have on their team.
Mixon straight ahead. Hit the hole hard. Got 7 or 8. Pipkins the tackle. 2nd and short.
I mean, Mixon isn't even getting touched until he's about 6 yards downfield. And credit the Oklahoma offensive line. They've started to kind of dominate now the line of scrimmage and some of that push. You can see Bobby Evans, the right tackle, was laying right next to Mixon on the ground. That's how far he was pushing his defender downfield.
This line is going to be a monster in time. 3 sophomores and a freshman up there.
Started 3 games now together as far as the group with the positions that they're at currently tonight.
Continuity huge for them. 2nd down and 2. Mayfield a deep drop. All kinds of time from that O-line. But the coverage downfield makes him scramble. And throw for Flowers, who adjusts with a flag. He caught it. Touchdown Oklahoma. The fullback, Dimitri Flowers, from 35 yards.
Pass interference by number 38 of the defense. Penalties declined. Touchdown.
Well, then there's one example of how special Baker Mayfield is when he can buy time running around. He had all the time. Their offensive line did a good job giving him time in the pocket, and then it was able to extend the play, and he goes to one of the most unlikely guys. Dimitri Flowers, a guy who coming into the game didn't even have a rush for the Oklahoma offense. And see Keyshawn Allen clearly just trying to get his back. Played all season long on offense. It's been heavily based upon his arm, and he's got to convert here on third down.
Breaking Graham Harrell's record, which was set in an upset win against Oklahoma back in 2007. On 3rd and 8, speed option. Mahomes trying to get outside, and with a fake pitch, Mahomes has 6.
He can throw so effective, but then he runs the speed option. Look, there's no one outside, and Mahomes with the pitch fake, but really what he did well was he stretched the defense to force the Oklahoma defender to then take the running back, which allowed the seam and really the free run to the end zone.
591 through the air for him. And now redefine what success is for a defense in this day and age. 2nd down 11. Mayfield well protected. Zips one in there for Basquin. And a 1st down and a gain of 16. 4th catch of the night for the walk-on from Norman.
I don't think he's going to be a walk-on much longer the way he's been playing this season.
It's Mixon. Slips his way through initial contact and gets 3. And we were talking about redefining success. How many times has David Gibbs said to us, I just want my team to have a shot in the final minutes. He knows that an offense like Oklahoma is going to put up points, but can they do enough to keep their team in the game?
As fast as both teams play, too, one of the concerns is just getting lined up. I mean, half the time it's like, I just want them to be in the right position, so every play we have a chance.
Oklahoma's moved over 700 yards of offense. 2nd down 7. Mayfield a strong arm strike. D.D. Westbrook stop and start. 1st down inside the 35 and down to the 30. Another huge night for Westbrook, who adds 26 more to his total. Now 190 for Westbrook.
Yeah, and that's something you just can't do. If you're Justice Nelson, you can't miss this tackle. You got to find a way of utilizing the sidelines to get D.D. Westbrook out of bounds and can't allow a big gain.
Mayfield changes the play on 1st down. It's a fake to Mixon. Going short side. Flag flies in from the secondary as Westbrook has another reception, this time tackled by Nelson. See if he pushed off to get that separation.
Hopefully we'll get to it, but that was a good job by Baker Mayfield of working through his progression. Again, playing within the system.
Holding an eligible receiver by the defense. The penalties declined. 1st down.
Nope, it's on Texas Tech and decline.
But Baker Mayfield scanned the left side of the field, didn't see anything. Came back around D.D. Westbrook, a comeback route, had enough time, and so we'll put the ball in the money for the 1st down.
Best 4-game stretch for a wide receiver in Oklahoma history. D.D. Westbrook over 200 again. Mixon. Texas Tech doing a better job against the Oklahoma run lately. 2nd down 7. Michael and Thomas credit for the tackle. Career high 194 for Mixon. David Gibbs is trying to come up with some way to get off of the field. or at least limit Oklahoma to a field goal. On 2nd and 7. They swing it out to Mixon. In space. Mixon cuts it back and spins in for another OU touchdown. This one from 15. A new school record for Baker Mayfield with 7 touchdowns tonight.
So David Gibbs and Texas Tech, they bring pressure again. Off the edge, you see Jashawn Johnson, and really it ends up being number 12, Zach Barnes. He's the one that busts this play. He was responsible for Joe Mixon in coverage. He's the widest guy. He should have went with him and not allowed that reception. But good throw by Baker Mayfield, trying to find a way and get a window to throw the ball to Joe Mixon, and big play. So we now watch Oklahoma go for 2.
Try and make this a 14-point game. Try to make up for the missed extra point on their first touchdown an eternity ago. They swing it to Westbrook. He's got the corner, and he's got 2 more. And so the lead is 14 for Oklahoma. Out of those 7 touchdown passes for Mayfield, 3 of them to Mixon, who's got 4 total on a career night.
Some out there, and I think the hardest thing as a quarterback, when you're scrambling up in the pocket, you're bringing some momentum with you, so it's a little bit harder to be as accurate throwing the ball down the field, because you got to put a little more air on it, take a little bit off, because your momentum, your body running with the throw carries it that much more.
On 2nd and 10. Off his back foot this time. QT's all alone. It's a Texas Tech touchdown. This time he connected from 56. This game is bonkers.
I mean, what do you say? Kiki QT motions down into a stack. That puts Jordan Thomas in outside leverage position. And if I'm Jordan Thomas, I'm just getting into a track sprint, because that's all Texas Tech is doing, is they're stretching the field vertically. And they're basically saying, our guys are faster than your guys. See if you can cover us.
Mixon, that's a strike and a first down to Geno Lewis to quiet the crowd in a gain of 16.
We talked about the percentage of production that Westbrook and Mixon and Andrews were at halftime. 85% of the offensive yards came from those 3 players, but it's been Lewis, it's been Green, it's been other pieces of their offense that have really stepped up in the second half in key situations.
Oklahoma's over 800 yards of offense now on the 46-yard line. Quickly outside, Michael Jones, the true freshman, clipped down by Keyshawn Allen. Baker Mayfield, 26 of 35, 545 yards. And a school record 7 touchdowns in his return to the place where he began his college career. Mixon, big hole, Joe Mixon, goodbye. Touchdown, Oklahoma. This one from 42 is 5th of the day.
That was just another example of the Texas Tech defense putting all the bodies down around the line of scrimmage. There's no one in the back end as far as the last line of defense. So once Joe Mixon gets through the line of scrimmage, it's just green grass, green turf, whatever you want to call it. Another big night, another big run for Joe Mixon versus this Texas Tech defense. Saw it a year ago. Set another career record for himself tonight.
251. Oklahoma now within 25 yards of a school record for a single game. 8:52 tonight.
Texas Tech, so it'd be a good time to try to run the football, even though that's not your strength. But We've seen Patrick Mahomes do it tonight, so he can easily be a part of that.
The 180th play of this game is a 3rd and goal from the 3. End zone, blown coverage, touchdown, Texas Tech still breathing. Cameron Batson brings them back to within a touchdown with 1:38.
We've heard this verbiage a couple times. There's Cameron Batson. He's going to kind of hesitate, and then he's really just going to lose everyone in coverage. He'll do a good job of it. Now end up recovers it. Maybe he does some sort of variation.
Here we go. Onside kick, Hatfield, and it skips its way right into the hands of Jarvis Baxter. Now, the fact that they have 3 timeouts means that that doesn't necessarily seal the deal.
Yeah, never got that big hop, really. That's what you're looking for out of any onside kick. It just stayed low to the ground. Oklahoma did a good job recovering it. Now with 3 timeouts and 1:37. You're going to have your defense step up, and they have not been able to stop Joe Mixon all night long. He's averaging 9 yards a carry. They're going to rely heavily on that offensive line and Mixon to be able to close out this game.
In a game that's seen 77 first downs, 1 more would end it. It's Mixon. And it will be 2nd down and 5. Here comes the first Texas Tech timeout.
And finish this one off.
The box loaded up. Mixon. Surging. 2 yards shy. 3rd and 2.
Something to keep in mind around these piles. The offensive line can push Mixon to help assist him in going forward.
Just snap it directly to him. He waits for the blocks to develop and seals the deal with a 1st down to the 35. Texas Tech will use its final timeout, but Oklahoma can now run this clock out.
And what a night for Baker Mayfield. All the emotions coming back to the place where really it all started for him. Had a lot of success early on as a freshman. Some things didn't necessarily work out. He moved on to Oklahoma, found a new home, and has been sensational for the Sooners since he arrived on campus.
This is how teams take knees in 2016. And by the way, Texas Tech didn't use that final timeout, holding on to it. Hey, you want another record?
Sure.
What was it, Barry? 78 first downs in this game ties the NCAA record.
Oh, well, I mean,
you get a record. You get a record.
Everyone gets a record. But you're on pace for one of the longer games that finishes in regulation.
Yeah. Oklahoma is going to win its 4th in a row after that 1-2 start. This will be their 11th consecutive Big 12 win.
We just saw Lincoln Riley a moment ago. If you wonder why these young men, whether it's Cliff Kingsbury or Lincoln Riley, and Graham Harrell, who's now an offensive coordinator at North Texas, former quarterback at Texas Tech, these guys continue to keep moving on and getting head jobs because no one can stop these offenses. They just have defensive coordinators in a tizzy trying to figure out how to limit some of the production. Because as much as you want to say, well, Texas Tech's defense couldn't stop Oklahoma, Oklahoma's defense really couldn't stop Texas Tech either.
No. Both teams, and this is perfect, both teams finished with exactly 854 yards, setting an NCAA record with 1,708 yards combined.
I mean, just PlayStation stats. That's the sort of thing that you expect maybe when a game goes into overtime because of the rules and you get more touchdowns and extended game, extended playing time. But just ridiculous.
And there's so many guys you could take a look at and highlight on this night offensively, but Baker Mayfield spotless. 27 of 36. 545 yards, 7 touchdowns, and most importantly, no turnovers to allow Texas Tech to get over the hump.
Yeah, this is a high-octane offense. The way he's operating from the pocket has allowed them to play better, still spreading the football around, but utilize Joe Mixon in all sorts of different positions. But it's also helped them maintain drives because they haven't taken as many negative plays. You know, last year he'd scramble around and get off of his read or progression and cause himself problems. That's just not the case for Oklahoma and Baker Mayfield. And for Patrick Mahomes and Texas Tech, a valiant effort. Young man who really carried this team all year long as the defensive struggles continue for Texas Tech. They've still got a lot of growing up to do. A lot of young players out there getting some experience and will eventually make their way to be more effective, but it's going to take some time. And really, again, it's everyone dealing with this issue right now.
Let's go down to Bruce Feldman.
All right, Baker, crazy setting here. How sweet is it in your return to Lubbock to set the OU touchdown passing record in this place?
You know, it's special anytime you can come here and get a victory. It's a tough environment. Obviously, there's a little extra on it with the history, but it's a great team win. Obviously, defense wants to play a little better, but you got to play off each other, and the offense did just that. And so if we have to score that many times, we will, and so that's why.
What's going through your mind out there? You guys, as combined, set the NCAA record for most yards in a game. You're watching Pat do his thing, and then you're out there. What's going through your mind as you're watching him light it up?
He's a heck of a player, a heck of an athlete. I mean, there's a lot of times you think he's getting sacked. He's making a lot of plays out of nothing. So all the credit to him. I mean, I don't know how many passes he threw, but he should be very happy with what he did. He balled out, and so it's always fun to go up against a guy like that.
Joe Mixon had a huge night as well. How has he developed and grown as a player here?
You know, Joe's always had the natural talent. We've always known he can catch like that, and so it's just about getting him the ball in space, and he's maturing more and more as a player, and so we're obviously very thankful to have him on our side, and so it's great to have him doing all that.
How much did you hear notice the chants and all the stuff that was going on in the crowd?
You hear it. I enjoy it. That's the thing a lot of people don't realize. I enjoy it. Makes it fun. That's why college football is a great game, so I enjoy it.
All right, thanks, Baker. Joe, back to you.
All right, and to answer his question, Patrick Mahomes threw 88 passes tonight. Mayfield only 36. His arm's feeling fresh. Back to Lubbock in a moment.